In 539 BC, the most powerful man in the world stood before the gates of Babylon, the greatest city on earth. He could have burned it to the ground. He could have slaughtered its people and paraded its king in chains. Every conqueror before him had done exactly that. Instead, Cyrus the Great walked into Babylon in peace. He freed the slaves. He returned stolen religious idols to their temples. He let the Babylonians keep their culture, their religion, their customs, their way of life. He told the people of Babylon, "You are not conquered. You are part of something greater now." Then he issued a proclamation, carved on a clay cylinder, declaring freedom of religion, declaring the right of all peoples to live according to their own traditions, declaring that no one would be enslaved for their beliefs. That cylinder still exists. It sits in the British Museum in London. Some historians call it the world's first declaration of human rights. 25 centuries before the United Nations. That was Cyrus the Great. That was the beginning of the Persian Empire. The rise. From a no-teach-ing, the Persians did not start as a superpower. They started as a subject people. Persia, or Parsa, was a small kingdom in southwestern Iran, dominated for generations by their neighbors the Medes. The Persians paid tribute, supplied soldiers, and stayed quiet. Then Cyrus came to power. Around 559 BC, and the world changed. Within 10 years, he had overthrown the Medes. Within 15, he had conquered Lydia, the kingdom of Croesus, the man whose name became synonymous with impossible wealth. Within 20, he had taken Babylon itself, from a subject kingdom to the ruler of the largest empire the world had ever seen, in 2 decades. The Persian Empire now stretched from modern Turkey to modern Pakistan, from the borders of India to the borders of Greece. It contained within its borders more different peoples, languages, religions, and cultures than any empire before it. And Cyrus ruled them all with a philosophy that no conqueror had ever tried before. Leave them alone. Keep their temples. Keep their customs. Keep their languages. Ask for tribute and military service. Give safety and order in return. Do not try to make everyone Persian. It worked spectacularly. The machine of MPI Cyrus's successors took what he built and made it permanent. Darius the Great, organized the empire into 20 provinces called satrapies, each governed by a royal administrator who reported directly to the king. He created a standardized system of weights, measures, and currency that made trade across the vast empire possible. He built the Royal Road, 1,700 miles of maintained highway from the Aegean coast to the Persian heartland, along which royal messengers on horseback could travel from one end to the other in just 7 days. The ancient Greek historian Herodotus marveled at it. He described Persian messengers who would not be stopped by snow, rain, heat, or darkness. Those words were later carved above the main post office in New York City and became the unofficial motto of the United States Postal Service. Darius also built Persepolis, a new ceremonial capital of staggering ambition. Massive staircases, columns 40 meters tall, relief carvings showing delegations from every nation in the empire bringing tribute, each people shown in their own clothing, with their own gifts, proud and dignified rather than humiliated. That was deliberate. Darius wanted the world to see the Persian Empire not as a conqueror of peoples, but as a gathering of them. The war with Grec. Then came Greece, and the war that changed how the world remembers Persia forever. Darius's attempt to conquer Greece ended at the Battle of Marathon in 490 BC. An Athenian army, heavily outnumbered, defeated the Persian force in a battle that shocked the entire Mediterranean world. His son Xerxes tried again 10 years later, with an army of perhaps 200,000 men. Ancient sources wildly exaggerate, claiming 2 million, But even the real number was enormous by the standards of the time. Xerxes built a bridge of boats across the Hellespont to march his army from Asia into Europe. He cut a canal through the neck of a peninsula so his fleet could pass without going around it out of Thermopylae. 300 Spartan warriors and their Greek allies held a narrow mountain pass against this vast army. For 3 days, long enough for the rest of Greece to organize, Xerxes broke through. He burned Athens. He seemed unstoppable. Then the Greek fleet destroyed his navy at the Battle of Salamis in a narrow channel where Persian numbers could not be brought to bear. Without sea supply lines, the vast army became a liability. Xerxes retreated. Greece was saved. And the Greeks wrote the history. What the Greeks left out. This is where the story gets complicated. The Persian Wars became the story that Greeks, and later Europeans, and later American democracy textbooks told about themselves. Brave little Greece standing against the Persian tyranny. Civilization defeating barbarism. Freedom defeating slavery. That story is not entirely false. But it leaves out enormous amounts of truth. The Persian Empire did not collapse after Xerxes retreated from Greece. It continued for another 150 years as the dominant power in the known world. Greek city-states paid tribute to Persia. Greek mercenaries fought in Persian armies. Greek philosophers traveled to Persian cities to learn. The defeat of Persia was real in military terms. But the idea that Greece somehow ended Persian power is Greek propaganda, written by Greek historians for Greek audiences. The Persian Empire ended in 330 BC, when Alexander the Great, having conquered it, stood in the ruins of Persepolis and watched it burn. He had ordered the destruction of the city in a night of drunken celebration, or perhaps as deliberate revenge for the Persian burning of Athens 150 years earlier. The accounts disagree. What is agreed is that by morning, one of the most beautiful cities in the ancient world was ash and rubble. And then, in one of history's most extraordinary reversals, Alexander began adopting Persian customs. He wore Persian dress. He adopted Persian court ceremony. He married a Persian princess named Roxana. He asked his Macedonian generals to do the same. The man who had destroyed the Persian Empire was so impressed by what he had destroyed that he tried to recreate it under his own name. The faith that Cyrus one more piece of the Persian legacy deserves to be told. The official religion of the Achaemenid Persian Empire was Zoroastrianism, one of the oldest monotheistic religions in human history. Founded by the prophet Zoroaster at some point between 1500 and 600 BC, Zoroastrianism taught the existence of one supreme God, Ahura Mazda, the wise Lord, in eternal struggle against the forces of darkness and chaos. It taught that human beings had free will and must choose between truth and lies, between good and evil. It taught that at the end of time, good would triumph. Scholars have argued for generations that Zoroastrian ideas, one God, free will, final judgment, heaven and hell, the end of the world, profoundly influenced Judaism during the period when Jewish people were living under Persian rule, and through Judaism, influenced Christianity and Islam. If that influence is real, then the Persian Empire shaped the spiritual worldview of more than half of humanity, not just roads and postal systems, not just human rights declarations, but the very framework through which billions of people understand God, morality, and the meaning of human existence. The allegacy why the Persian Empire lasted 220 years. It ruled half the known world. It governed with a sophistication, administrative, economic, philosophical, that no empire before it had achieved. We remember Greece and Rome because the Greeks wrote brilliant books about themselves, and the Romans built things that still stand everywhere in Europe. We teach their history, read their literature, trace our democracies to their ideas. But the world that made Greek civilization possible, that surrounded it, challenged it, traded with it, funded it, and ultimately shaped it, was Persian. The world's first superpower, the empire that gave us religious tolerance, organized government, the postal system, and quite possibly the moral framework of 3 major world religions. We forgot about it. That is our loss. Not there's dot, because history does not need to be remembered to have shaped everything, and the Persian Empire shaped everything